Hello, Mike Doe at Melco, part of the applications team, and I want to talk to you in this video about bobbins and bobbin tension. Some important stuff to note about this. One of the things that I'd like to point out is there are bobbins in the world, unfortunately, that don't fall into spec. And so if I can get the overhead view for a minute, this bobbin, for example, as you look at it, and it might be easier if I hold it up just a little bit higher and come towards me, you'll see that the cardboard flares out on either side. What happens here is inside the machine, when we put this into the bobbin into the hook, this will actually press against the back of the hook and cause about 3 times the amount of tension on the bobbin as if you set it outside the bobbin. So if you see a bobbin that is like this, or you start having problems where you weren't having problems before, you changed the bobbin recently, and you start getting thread breaks, you start getting frays, you start getting short bobbins, the thread actually starts pulling up out of the needle when it starts sewing right after a trim. Take a look at the bobbin itself and make sure that the cardboard isn't flaring out. If the cardboard is flaring out on a bobbin, I would get rid of that bobbin. If you've got several of those bobbins inside of a bobbin box of bobbins that you bought, I would contact the company that you bought those from and get those returned and get a good box of bobbins. We've seen this recently where we would set with our tension gauge the correct tension on the thread off of it, and then we would put it onto the machine, and the tension was just crazy. Instead of being like 180 to 200 or 18 to 20, if you look at it that way, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 30 to 40. So almost twice, and once again, in some cases we saw it go up even above 40, 50, 60. So really keep an eye on that. And one way that you can do that, if we go back up above, if we take the bobbin, first of all, always make sure that we got the bobbin going in right. So this one that I'm waving my fingers is my left hand, right? This is my right hand. I'm taking and I'm pulling the thread off with my right hand so the thread comes off the top, okay? And then I'm going to take my bobbin, my bobbin case, and I'm going to come in on the bobbin and pull it like this, pull it underneath the tongue. I am not going to take and put it into the pigtail. That's this little spring thing right here. I'm not going to put that in there to tension it, so I'm going to hold it right there. I'm going to take and put it onto the bobbin case, snap it in like so. Then I'm going to put it underneath that wheel and around this wheel, and then I'm going to pull it down, and I'm just going to constant pull to see what that is. I'm not going to take and pull really hard like this and see it go up and down. All I want to do is get it to where it will hold tension for a minute or two, and you see my hand's not moving, and I'm seeing how much it's holding that. On this bobbin, not only do we have a problem with it rubbing on the back of the tension gauge, but we also have a warp or a wobble to it. So you'll see that I'll pull it, it'll hold that for a minute, and then all of a sudden it'll go weak on me and drop down to less than 100 or 10. So really keep an eye on that. And once again, I wouldn't try to spend too much time with the bobbin to try to figure that out. If that's the case, I would just discard that bobbin. And in a gross of bobbins, if I was running through them and I had, out of a first box of bobbins, I had 5 or 10 of these that were like this, I would call the company that I bought these bobbins from and request a exchange for defective bobbins. We don't want that bobbin. As we look at a hook, and we're going to come in again, this is the hook from the machine, and what happens is, let's see if I can get something to point at that is not as chubby as my hands. This metal down here, that's where that cardboard will rub against, and it causes the extra friction and tension on the thread, the bobbin thread, to happen. Once again, the reasons those happen is the symptoms, if you have that going on, It could be thread breaks, it could be fray breaks. It even on hats, it could be a needle break because it's got too much tension on it. It could be an inconsistent bobbin on the back. Could very well be that if I'm running a column and I see it get wider or narrower, or I can't get the bobbin to increase or decrease in size on the back. It could be that you're doing everything right off the machine, but as soon as it goes onto the machine, because the width of the bobbin, going forward and back is too wide, it could be adding tension or friction onto that. So really keep an eye on that. The other thing that I would make sure of is don't over oil your bobbin cases. We've seen where someone will go through and they'll maintain their bobbin case and they'll put a lot of oil in there, and what that'll do is it'll take and soak into the cardboard, causing that cardboard to swell, and that also could put that extra tension onto it. So really important to keep that in mind. Keep your bobbin cases clean. I always suggest having one bobbin into the machine, one bobbin off, and I'm talking about the bobbin cases, so one on the machine, one off. That'll allow me, as the machines start running, I've got a second, I can clean this bobbin case that's off, get it loaded with the next bobbin, tension it, and then when I run out, instead of the machine sitting waiting for me to put a new bobbin on, I can just pop this one off and just have that rotation going on and off with your bobbin cases. For further questions, feel free to give Melco Service a call or check out melco-service.com. Click on the FAQ and do a search for any other questions. Thank you for watching this video, and have a wonderful day.